Emily and what's her name? Karen? Sharon? Christine? What is her name? Hi guys, and welcome back. First and foremost, there's very little insulation between my ceiling and my neighbor's floor. Right now they are watching TV in their living room, which is right above my living room. So if you hear what sounds like an action movie, that's not me. But hello, today we are here for my May wrap up. It's going to be a pretty short video, to be honest. In total, I read 6 books during the month of May, which was definitely a little bit below my initial TBR, but that is fine. 2 of the books I already read before, but we're gonna go ahead and get into my thoughts and recommendations and ratings and all of that jazz. Okay, so the first book was Watching You by Lisa Jewell. I don't have it with me anymore because I did return it to the library, but this book was set in London, and it was basically a murder mystery. It opens with the murder scene itself with like the detectives and things like that, and then it jumps between the interrogation of all of the people in this little community to like 4 days before the murder, 3 days before the murder, and this and that. It does jump from different viewpoints and different characters, which I did kind of enjoy. I will say that one of the main characters, Josephine, she just wasn't really likable. Her life isn't the greatest. She's living with her brother and his wife and her husband, but like they're newlyweds, and her husband is just super devoted to her, and she was obsessed with him before she, you know, got to know him and things like that, and they got married, and it was like this whirlwind romance, and now she just isn't really into him anymore. But it was a good book. I do enjoy that author. I've read a few of her books before. I wouldn't necessarily read that book again. It wasn't my absolute favorite. I gave it a 3. It was pretty average. There was nothing bad about it. So take from that what you will. Second book I read was Unplanned. It was on the Libby app, and it was Cinder, and that is by Marissa Meyer. And I thought it was going to be about Cinderella. I thought it was part of the Twisted Tales like Disney books that they were doing. I thought it was like a Cinderella version, but it's totally not. So it's about this cyborg named Cinder. So she's part human, part robot, and she's a mechanic, and she lives with her stepmom and her 2 stepsisters, and it's set obviously in the future, but it's set in like Beijing or some like Asian country, and so there's a prince and there's a ball, and you know, Cinder's mistreated by her stepmother, but there's a lot more to it. It was really good. I was so not expecting that. I gave it a 4.5 stars. So yeah, and I think it's part of a trilogy, I want to say, so I definitely will be picking up the second book sometime before I forget what happens in the first one. A super good book. Check it out if you haven't already. Okay, third was We Were Never Here by Andrea Bartz, and this follows the story of Kristen and Emily. They're best of friends, and each year they take a backpacking trip to a foreign country. Now, last year that they went to this foreign country, they went on this backpacking trip, Emily takes home a guy. The guy starts to get too rough with her, and it gets to the point to where guy ends up dead on the floor because Kristen came back to the room and they basically killed him in self-defense, right? That was last year. They hide the body, they get away with it. This year, they're on another backpacking trip in a different country, and Kristen takes a guy home. Wham, bam, guy ends up dead. Kristen is saying that it's self-defense. Emily believes her. They dispose of the body, and they go back to their normal lives. Well, before the backpacking trip, Kristen lived in Australia and Emily lived in Missouri. After the backpacking trip, Emily's feeling like Kristen is maybe not being truthful with her, maybe not telling how things really went down. She's starting to get paranoid, she's starting to feel weird, and lo and behold, Kristen shows up out of the blue saying that she's moved back and that things are going to be so great between them. She's always in Emily's face, and Emily starts to feel like, what's going on with her? Is she really who she says she is? And she starts uncovering these things about Kristen and blah, 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 this and that, right? I gave the book a 3. Honestly, to me, it was nothing special, unfortunately. Emily was so annoying, such an annoying protagonist. The amount that she just went back and forth and back and forth, it was exhausting. It made the storyline drag. I did finish it, and the ending was okay. A little ambiguous, actually. It kind of makes you wonder, okay, well, what really did happen? But yeah, if I find another book by the author, I will still read it, but it was just kind of okay for me. Okay, 4th was Runaway Home by Patricia McKissick. I mean, what can I say about this? There's pages missing. It was just like a nostalgic read. It was just as great as I remember it being. The relationship between Sarah Jane and Skye, and then their little dog Buster. It's interesting because reading it now, there are definitely things that I missed when I was younger. Just like little nuances and things like that. And now that I'm older and I've just experienced more, just some of the situations that she gets herself into, I'm just like, oh wow. Just reading it from an adult's perspective, I'm just like, what you doing? Why are you there? But this one's a 5 out of 5 for me, just because it was literally my childhood. So 5th was Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. 5 out of 5. I mean, there's not much I can say about this that I mean, it's amazing. No longer has an author, but amazing. Now I wonder if I'm going to read them again this year, since I just now finished this one and it's already the middle of the year, but we'll see. And last but not least is One Dark Throne by Kendare Blake. So this book deals with a set of triplets who are set to be queen. One of them is set to be queen. They all have different powers. There's a poisoner, a naturalist, and an elemental. They are separated at birth to go live with their relative, like, foster families. And at the age of 16, when they are eligible to be queen, they basically try to kill each other, and the last surviving person is the queen. The first book dragged. This book, for me personally, dragged. I don't have any loyalty to any of the characters. I really don't care. I do want to keep reading it though, because I just feel like you might as well. I think there's maybe 5 books in the series, and I'm already done with book number 2. So I'm not quite sure why I can't get into it, but it is what it is. So I gave it a 3. It left things pretty interestingly. So, as I said, this is going to be a very short wrap up because I did not read a whole lot of books and I don't have a whole lot to say about any of them. But let me know what you guys are reading in the month of May. Is there anything that you just absolutely love and you need to shout to the rooftops about? I am here. I will listen. But yes, thank you so much for watching. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!
She's a Mona Lisa. Everyone's lining up to see her. She's a Mona Lisa.